Okay. She's back. We're good.
Let's call the Order City of Port Richey Community Redevelopment Agency Board meeting Tuesday, May 14th, 2024. I'd like to stand for pledge allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Madam Clerk, you take a roll, please.
Chairman John Yarikover.
Here.
Member Linda Rodriguez.
Here.
Member David Mueller.
Here.
Member Cherokee Sampson.
Here.
Member Roger
show.
Hubbard.
Here.
City Attorney Nancy Meyer.
Here.
City Manager Matthew Koppler.
Here. Okay, moving on to comments from the general public. I have no sign-ups. Anyone in the audience like to speak? Seeing no hands, I'll bring it back to comments from the city manager. Pass it to Mr. Koppler for comments.
Good evening. Just had one item. The CRA update plan is still moving forward. If you haven't, thought we forgot about it. We did receive the draft version of that, and Pam and I are in the process of reviewing that. We have to get it back to them in the next couple of days. And once we get through the draft and there's any changes that we make, they'll prepare a final draft, and we'll give it to you for your review for a week or so, and make any recommendations that you would want to see on that. And then it gets presented as the final at an upcoming meeting.
There are minutes to be approved. It just didn't make the cover sheet.
Oh, okay.
Apologies, it wasn't on the cover page. They're in as attachments, but just not on the cover page.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So I've been made aware that there's minutes to be approved. Looking for a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
A motion second for discussion. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? Motion carries. And then comments from the board. I'll start. Vice Mayor Rodriguez. Do you have any comments?
Not at this time, thank you.
Not at this
Sure. I have Member Rodriguez in this case. Or CRA, sorry.
I appreciate that, thank you.
We can do it now rather than old business. There was a grant program for businesses. Has that been end yet? The process?
Yeah.
Do we have a date?
I don't have a date.
Barry.
Next, move on.
Member Hubbard.
1 minute.
Nothing? Okay, bringing it back. Board business. Item number 1, approval of resolution number 24-11, amending current year fiscal year 2024 CRA budget. I'll pass it to Mr. Koppler for introduction.
The state requires CRA budget to include all balances from prior fiscal years for statute section 189.0163. Prior year balances are estimated when creating the budget since they are prior to the fiscal year end. City's fiscal year 2023 audit is completed and the financial statements show the remaining fund balance year end for CRA is $2,926,780. The city budgeted $2,915,312 from reserves. The cash resolution will amend the fiscal year 2024 CRA budget to match the audited fund balance.
Just let you know, my signature block is incorrect. It's got Eric John on that one. And look for a motion or discussion.
Motion to approve resolution number 24-11, current year CRA budget.
Second.
A motion second. Further discussion? Public got comment? See no hands, I'll put it to vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Next up is number 3, discussion of lease agreement with Whiskey Joe's for overflow parking lot. I pass it to Mr. Koppler for introduction.
Community Redevelopment Agency opened proposals on April 5th, 2024 for the leased parking on 2 vacant lots the city owns in the Cody River Landing District. The CRA only received one proposal from Whiskey Joe's Restaurant. In their submission, Whiskey Joe's proposed a month-to-month lease in the amount of $1,050 per month. The attorney prepared a draft lease agreement for the board's review. Following review and discussion, if the board wishes to move forward, the draft will be sent to Whiskey Joe's for their review and comment.
And that, actually, I'd say that was item number 3. It's actually item number 2 because the minutes were not in there on the table of contents. It's the numbering's off, so it's actually item number 2. if you follow along. So open it for motion or discussion.
This is month to month.
Did we do any comparative comps on if that was a good price to get for that?
The problem we have
It's hard
is
to do.
that's what they submitted.
Right. No, I get that.
Yeah.
I'm just curious that, we don't have to take it if it's
Right. You can
extremely low ball. We can come back with there's no opportunity to negotiate. That's
yeah, this
we
is
take it or not.
what they've submitted. So yeah, so your choices would be
Reject
yes,
the
this
bid.
is fine, or reject it.
Is it strictly for Whiskey River? Can other people park there? Sorry.
Whiskey Joe's.
They control
Whiskey
it.
Joe's, excuse
It's
me.
a lease agreement, so they would control.
Yes. It's,
We just be collecting the rent.
Seems like the only place that has problem parking over there is Whiskey.
I'm sorry.
It seems like the only establishment over there that has a major problem with parking is Whiskey Joe's.
For a motion or more discussion?
well, I think we just need a consensus to move forward.
Oh, is it not?
And-
Discussion.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
Yeah. So again, the next step would be
Send
if
them a
you're
link.
okay with this, we'd effectively get into negotiations of all the other details. of the
Oh,
lease
gotcha.
agreement with them.
Yeah, I mean, we own the property. We own it for a while. We've got money invested into it. It's just sitting there, month-to-month lease. I think it's prudent that we get something for that until we decide what we want to do.
I think month to month is
It's paramount.
it doesn't hold either one of us into.
It
So, yeah,
shows
I agree
that
with
they're
that.
going to have insurance on that too, I believe.
They've
right?
got it.
They would-
Yeah, so
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're totally indemnified.
Yeah.
This is how the lease agreement is.
That's our post lease.
Yes.
They get to come back and maybe try to discuss that.
Change
But
it, yeah.
the
I
proposal
don't
is
see
that
a
they would have that.
downside to it at all. I don't see where's it a downside to it.
So
Anybody?
How much is invested in that property? Do you know?
400,000.
it might be closer to 500. With the demolition costs and all that.
No, that's it. It was. I think it was like 350.
It was $350 for the
Plus.
purchase. I'm not sure what the
And then
demolition
the
was
demolition cost of about $375, $400.
for your time.
There's some trees and bushes on that. Are they going to clear out?
No, I tore them down. I don't remember the number off the top of my head. I would think
That's
one
all
was
their
like
issue.
6
They
million.
got. They got it.
They're going to
I
do all
think
that.
they had indicated that they would have to do some site prep on that to allow for what they need to do.
I mean, I don't know why we need to delay it. Those problem over there is now.
They need to look at. They need to review
Yeah.
the lease, and they may come back with
Right.
conditions. You know.
Usually the way it works is I write a long lease and then their lawyer comes back and says, I don't like this part. I want to add this part, and kind of figure those things out. Sometimes it's easier than others.
And would they be? Are they? What is their intention? Are they going to be charging people for that, or are they?
They'd be leasing it from us for $1,050.
It'll be parked by valet, parking for valet.
But I believe their intent is for overflow parking when they need additional parking. But they technically they could charge it. It's just they'd have full rights to the property, right?
I mean, $1,050 a month. That's $12,600 per year. $12,600 a year.
Does that cover our taxes for the property?
There is no taxes.
We don't pay taxes. We own it.
City is a non-taxable entity.
We don't tax ourselves.
I'm a
That's
city.
not necessarily true. It's one of the things. Well, because the problem is
Now
that
we're leasing it.
right, we're making money off of it. So I don't know if it's 100% how they do it, but I think there is a possibility of that.
Oh, ha, ha.
So what do we pay?
So you're saying
We need to put a triple net lease together so that they'd have to pay for maintenance and taxes and insurance, right?
Well, that would be included in whatever the
So
price is. That's why I just
in
wanted to make
section-
sure that whatever they lease us for is going to cover our expenses
In-
at least.
Yes.
In section 5, we've thought about that. So it's in there.
There's state and county tax.
Section 5.
I believe the state tax, not on that, it wouldn't be dropped. That
Okay.
stays the same.
All right.
so just from my understanding, so if city owns the property and we lease it, then it converts to a taxable entity.
If
Or county and everything.
if we're using it for municipal purposes, then it's tax exempt.
Right.
It's when you go outside of that, property tax. And generally, in other states, and I'm assuming Florida as well, when you're doing something where you're leasing it to a private,
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I mean, I
it
understand.
becomes taxable.
And so and we have that in the lease agreement. They would be responsible for those.
That's exactly
Good. Good work.
we tried.
Thank you.
Yeah, very good work.
So for the county to know to do that, we'd have to notify them a change of use, correct?
Yeah, how does the county know that we start leasing that? Is that
They watch the YouTube video.
probably?
Wow.
Yeah, then,
We have ways.
That's scary.
I'm sure there's some kind of notification thing that the city has to do, right? Or do we just?
We'll look into. I mean, I think again, we want to comply with all state, local,
Right.
federal rules. So if there is that provision, that's what we're doing.
Any questions? All right. I think we're. That all you need for that?
Yep. If you're good with
Yep.
it, I'll go to the next step and we'll send it out to.
Any objections?
No.
And the last up is item number 3, discussion of old business. Is there any discussion of old business?
I do have, I'm sorry, I did forget on the
Oh.
beginning.
Before you do that, before I close out, sorry.
Okay, no
Anybody
problem.
public like comment on the last thing on the leasing? Okay, bring it back. Go ahead.
The grant program, I think I brought it up last time for the residents. We changed the total amount to $5,000 per year. We,
Every 2 years.
every 2 years. Okay, but we still need to look at that because, as I said last time, somebody might not have the money. They might have it in increments over the 2 years. Right now, it reads, if you apply for something and the city gives them $1,000, they can no longer apply for that for another 2 years. As opposed to, I can afford $1,000, I could afford the project and the city will give me $1,000. And in 9 months, I can afford another project, which is another $1,000. They can't apply for that grant again.
Right. That's right. You get up to 5,000, but it's a
One-time thing.
Yeah,
But
so
I
you don't
think
spend it all
it needs to be like a cumulative, like $5,000 from 2024 to 2026, and they can have multiple projects. What happens if it's just a front door? It's not going to be it's not going to be a $5,000 door, probably. Do you know what I mean? But they might want to do a door and then in 6 months do gutters or do landscaping, and all that is allowed with the grant program. So I think we need to change that the resident can get the $5,000 over multiple cuts, but totaling a maximum of $5,000 over it, because this is designed to fix blight. People don't have that kind of cash flow, especially in this economy now, to just lay all that money out to get the $5,000 back. And our goal is to decrease blight, and I think we need to address that.
No, I completely agree. Is that something we have to wait till next budget cycle, or is that something we do mid-budget? I mean, we've already got it's allocated, so we should be able to make a change procedurally.
It sounds like the wording might just need to be looked
Yeah.
at, and I'm happy if someone sends it to me, I can look at it.
I would like you to look at that if you don't mind.
Is there any objections to having been looking at?
And the Cody River Landing project, have we gotten any bids yet? Still zero?
It's closed. We haven't put it out to bid again.
No bids.
But nobody bid.
Right.
Right.
So what's our next step?
So we have to have that conversation on what you want to do with the project. We've been working with the utility, so the water line engineer, right? And he's been reaching out, looking at existing contracts with some of the surrounding counties for water main replacement, so we can get an understanding of if that could be an option to go forward with the water main part of the project, because that is the more important piece of this from a utility, the infrastructure standpoint. And I think we're just waiting for one more to come back, because I think these Pasco counties on call. And so once we have those numbers, we're going to have that conversation to see what you want to do. If you want to go forward with parts of it, none of it.
I thought we were going to go back to some of these companies that have bid in the past and ask them why they, what was
So-
what was holding them up? Why did they not want to bid? What was the deterrent?
So we did have a meeting with Ayers to go over that. That would be something that I would expect the engineering firm did as soon as the bids came back, is no bids. When we had the meeting, they informed us that they didn't do it. It didn't sound like they were too interested in doing it. I asked them then, why did nobody bid? And let's see, there are 5 things. 1, our location. Apparently, we are located too far from areas that contractors can do work. The second was the size of the project. It was a very small project for them. The third was the council. They felt that the behavior of the council over the last, I don't know how many years, set, how do they put that exactly? They made,
Unrealistic expectations.
and so it scared people away because council wasn't committed to the project or something like that. The fourth is we didn't have a good network of contractors because we don't do a lot of projects. And the fifth thing was, where was the fifth one? Honestly, after the third one, I kind of lost place. I just kind of, I wasn't nice. I, quite frankly, I've never seen an engineering firm do this. And
Especially when they got paid several $1,000s,
well, more than several thousand.
Yeah.
several 100,000.
Yes. It was large amount of money. I think so the utility, and why we're continuing working with the utility engineer part of this, who is a sub of Ayers, is he actually did reach out and talk to the one company, and I can't remember what the company was, but it was a company that was actually attended the pre-bid meeting. And there was a couple things, they felt that the scope of the work was not sufficient, or the engineer's estimate on the scope of the work, the two things didn't match up, and the company was concerned that they were going to put a bid in that would be 2 to 3 times what the engineer's estimate was.
The Ayers engineers.
Yes.
Yeah, good.
Another issue, especially on the water line, and we keep getting more feedback on this. The thing that is driving that cost up is on the west side. There's a lot more rock than on the east side, and the feeling was again that the design, or at least the bid, really didn't cover that risk to the contractor. Or if you hit the rock, how are you going to get paid for that? So that's one issue, at least on the utility side. I think there was concern about right of way, that there wasn't sufficient right of way to actually do some of the civil work that was being proposed in terms of the sidewalks and roadways. And so those are the kind of the feedback we got through that engineering.
Which Ayers, I would have thought would have. I think they worked on it right away. They talked to businesses and all that, so I don't understand that part of it.
I can only tell you
Good
what
Google
I've been
review.
told.
Did we get all the documents and surveys and everything that we paid for from Ayers, so that we can reuse that potentially?
Usually want to do their own, I think.
Yeah, I mean, the problem,
Show it to
and
them.
again, that's kind of the difficulty in this, where if you were to bring in a new engineer, there are some pieces of what was done that can be reused. A survey, you can reuse surveys.
if they're within like 2 years or whatever.
But there's other pieces that any engineer that's going to put the stamp on it, they're going to want to do it themselves. But I think, and again, another issue that I saw with the water, like along the water line, is that it was designed at a level that didn't anticipate any type of growth on the demand of the water lines there. It was designed at a level to meet the current existing customers along the water line. And while it may meet some growth that's going to happen there, it's not going to meet exponential growth. And one of the conversations that we had with that engineer was, okay, what can we accommodate with this? And if we're going to go back to the drawing board, I want to make sure that we're putting together a plan that's going to meet, again, not necessarily a 20-year window, and not necessarily all the proposed developments going to happen. But if you looked, from a planning perspective, you look at a build out of what's there. Look at your code. You say we can do this amount of density, this amount of type of development, and so you want to build towards that. And it didn't sound like that type of analysis was done, unfortunately. So I think again, where we may, I want to say those numbers are like 1.4, 1.5 million that we've gotten so far from the on-call contracts, which I think are quite high. We know, or at least we believe that it's not going to meet the future development of what could happen based upon what the current codes are. And while impact fees are meant to help that out, if we're going to be putting some things in, we should at least go to a standard that makes sense. Some level of development there. So it's a little bit more difficult to have that conversation until we have all the pieces to be able to sit down and say, here's what we're thinking.
We'll probably have this visioning exercise when we get all feedback and all we work through that. Obviously, that would be a good time to.
And that's kind of what my thought is if we hold off so we kind of know what we think we want to see develop there, we have more of a target to shoot.
Perfect. Thank you. Thank you for the update.
I hadn't heard about that. When you asked him, I saw his face start to lighten up.
I remember that day very well for some reason.
Anything else? For motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion seconded.
That motion second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.